Hi, everybody. I'm Matt from Public Sector Personnel Consultants. Our firm was selected by the county to assist with a compensation study. We wanted to create an opportunity for everyone to learn a little bit more about the study, as well as highlight your opportunities to participate. So I'll share my screen here. I'll move fairly quickly through these slides, just in the interest in the length of the video. But we wanted to provide an overview of our firm, an overview of the review of your job description, discuss briefly the conduct of a salary survey. And then I do have screenshots of a job questionnaire. So your opportunities to review either your job description and mark that up or fill out a job questionnaire for us really kind of help inform everything that we'll be doing for the next 90 to 120 days for the county. As our name suggests, Public Sector Personnel Consultants, this is all that we do. We do classification and compensation studies for cities, for counties, for school districts, special districts, colleges, universities throughout the United States. We only utilize full-time staff from our firm to assist in these studies. We've had a chance to work with just over 100 different county governments, several public employers in the state of New Mexico, such as New Mexico Junior College, City of Las Cruces, City of Rio Rancho, Santa Fe County, City of Albuquerque, to name a few. All that qualifies us to do is ask good questions around, hey, does our job description accurately reflect our job duties? Are we competitive with our wages? How do we choose to position ourselves in order to recruit and in order to retain? So we'll hope to answer some of those questions and more throughout the study. A few things just kind of before we get started here to highlight. This is something that most public agencies do undertake every 5 to 7 years, maybe 10 years on the outside. It is something that the county wants to do for you, not to you. It is intended to be a very transparent exercise, one where you have an opportunity to review your job description to make sure that when we do a market survey, we're comparing based on your actual job duties and responsibilities. The study itself usually does not result in everyone receiving a pay adjustment. That's what your annual budget process is for, or any other cost of living adjustment or general increase, wage increase, step increase, merit increase, any way that you get salaries really shouldn't change a whole lot. But the study itself, when we survey multiple jobs, might mean something a little bit different job by job. And I'll try and touch on that a little bit further in a moment. The study itself can really be broken into two components: a classification review, which is a study of jobs. We do want you to either review your job description and acknowledge that it is accurate or mark that up, or complete a job questionnaire. I'll have screenshots of that here in just a moment. That gives us the information that we need to ensure that your job title is an accurate reflection of the work being performed, that the job duties that appear on your job description are ones that you're familiar with and that accurately reflect how you spend your time. The questionnaires themselves, if you choose to fill out a questionnaire, you can work on these as a group. If you have coworkers where you share job duties, you share job responsibilities, and you want to work together to fill out one questionnaire, kind of reinforces that it is the job that we're studying, not the individual. It is not about your performance. It is not about your job satisfaction, nor is it a staffing review. Same number of employees, same number of budgeted positions will exist when we're done with the study. The salary survey is the more interesting part. It's where do we get employees from? Where do we lose employees to? Said another way for you as an individual, where else can I go perform my job duties? And does that require that I relocate? Or are there other nearby comparators and competitors where, without changing school districts for the kids or without selling my house and moving, where else can I go, perform my job or kind of apply my trade that I perform for the county? Salary surveys are intended to answer two big questions. The first, how are we doing compared to those that we're competing with? And right behind that is, where do we want to be or where do we wish to be in relation to our market? We will collect data from probably 12 to 15 different agencies. These could be other classification B sized counties in the state. These could be other nearby or regional, large comparators and competitors. But about 12 to 15 agencies, we will collect their pay plans, their job descriptions, their organization charts, and effectively try to survey as many jobs as possible. The result of that varies almost job by job by job. So you will see some recommendations as well as proposed pay range updates for all jobs built around that available market data. We will help the county in defining how best to adopt and implement any of that change. Occasionally, jobs might fall far enough below the market that we need to take multiple budget years or multiple cycles to catch up to market. That's very, very common. And ultimately then, subject to commission or board of supervisors, subject to commission budget, that process, everything that we do will ultimately be provided, presented, and recommended for consideration, but certainly subject to any budget constraints and any other philosophy, any other administrative directives or anything like that. How you respond to the market is typically a policy decision. And so we will guide the county through some implementation options. The PAQ, the Position Analysis Questionnaire, I do have screenshots of that. You will have a couple of weeks to work on that. Ideally, we will have you complete one and turn that in to your supervisor or to your manager here before the end of November. Departments and managers, nobody will change what you put on those questionnaires. Substitute questionnaire for updated job description. Again, if you want to mark up a current job description instead of completing the questionnaire, that works just as well. But we wanted to have everybody have an opportunity to review their job description. The questionnaire itself follows a job description format, some housekeeping on the first page, your name, your job title, the department, the person that you report to. So whoever signs off on your time off requests or reviews and approves your work, that would be who you would put there. Page 1 here, really at a high level, asks you just to describe your job duties and responsibilities at a fairly high level. When somebody asks you what you do for a living, what do you tell them? What is the overall purpose of your department, and how does your role or how does your job aid in providing either those services or fulfilling that purpose? So 3 to 5 sentences here at a very high level. Again, most job descriptions kind of start with a summary or a definition statement right at the top. If you do wear multiple hats, right, we will call that a kind of a slash job title. I'm an accountant / computer programmer. We might need to compare your job to more than one job out in the market. Now, we don't need 2 questionnaires completed, but if you do wear multiple hats and you want to provide some documentation to describe job number 1 and some job duties, and then switch gears and say job number 2, a little bit different, here are some job duties, feel free to do that. You can draw a line down the questionnaire or just kind of break it out in sections. We're also interested in the percentage of time that you spend on all of your major job duties. Now, for the interest of screen size, there are 8 boxes here. There's nothing magical about 8. You can tell us about 18 different job duties or 20 different job duties or 5 different job duties. Give us a sentence or 2. If there are tasks that you perform every day, I would write them down here. If there are tasks that you perform less frequently, but you feel are important to land on the job description, you can change your label to say, hey, weekly or monthly or every so often, I also perform these job duties. It doesn't necessarily have to add up to 100% of your time, because we all tend to multitask a little bit, particularly if you're working in a spot where you've got to acknowledge whether it's email, phone call, foot traffic, smartphones, whatever it is. A lot of us have many things demanding our attention all at once at work. So certainly, the percentage of time can be a little bit fluid. This page is going to be the hardest page. Feel free to look at your job description. Don't feel the need to copy and paste, because we will have a copy of those current job descriptions if they exist. But feel free to start on a separate piece of paper. Again, feel free to work on these as a group. That group think will kind of help get those core job duties and responsibilities to emerge. The last mention that I would have on this page would be, feel free to either put job duties down from what you believe to be most important to least important, or from most frequently performed to least frequently performed. The next section we will move on a job description basically to knowledge, skills, education, and experience, our minimum qualifications. If we've successfully written down some job duties and responsibilities that we have, what do you have to know and what do you have to be good at in order to perform your job duties? Do you have to have skill in resolving customer complaints, knowledge of safely setting up a traffic barricade around a construction site, knowledge of safety guidelines, policies, procedures, skill in meeting deadlines, skill in multitasking? Are there any information sources that dictate what you do, how you do it? Maybe there's a trades manual or an owner manual for a piece of equipment that you're responsible for. Maybe there's a code or an ordinance that you have to refer to on a regular basis. If there's anything that governs how you do and when you do your work, or how you document the work that you've performed, I would say, maybe let us know about that in this section. We're going to turn you all into recruiters. If you were promoted or if you moved on and we asked for your help in finding your replacement, what would you look for on somebody's resume or job application that would suggest that their background would lend itself to coming in and learning how to perform your job duties? We're not going to classify anybody out of their job, but certainly give us an idea if your job requires a high school diploma and 3 years of experience, but you happen to have some additional training or additional trade school or even a 2-year or 4-year degree. Give us an idea of what you believe to be should be the minimum requirements posted. Think back to what you had when you took the job or started your job. What was on your resume or what type of experience did you have? Does your job require some previous experience? Give us an idea of how many years of previous experience and at what level of prior work experience would be required. Does your job require any licenses or certifications? Maybe you have a commercial driver's license, or you're a professional engineer, or a certified planner, or you're a building inspector, and you have some specific certifications or licenses. Write those down there. Are those things that you could get after you've been on the job for a while? Or did you have to have those on day one before you could start your position? The middle of this page and the next couple of sections are pretty straightforward. Do you operate heavy equipment? Do you get any cool toys to play with out in the field that are, whether it's personal vehicles, heavy equipment, hand tools, survey equipment, anything like that? List that in section F there in the middle of the page. For compliance with the Americans with Disabilities Act, does your job require you to lift, carry, bend, climb, perform repetitive data entry, anything like that? List that, any physical requirements there. Working conditions, if you work out of doors or you're around moving traffic, hazardous chemicals, infectious disease, anything like that, list out your working conditions and the work environment that you're performing your job duties. We switch gears for the last couple of sections of the questionnaire. How specific are the work instructions that you receive? Do you work maybe you work out in the field and your supervisor or manager works back in an office? How often do you interact with the person that's providing you with work instructions? Do you have the latitude and the freedom to decide what you're working on and how you work on it? Or is there somebody giving you step-by-step work instructions? Are you making any significant decisions? Describe for us where that decision line is drawn to say, hey, you can sign off up to purchasing $100, or you can make a decision to help out a customer. What does your supervisor or manager want to be involved in, or say, hey, if this comes up or if it deviates from policy or procedure, kind of here's the authority line here where I can make decisions, but I need a supervisor or manager to sign off on certain tasks or certain topics. Is there a potential impact or a potential liability to the county, to your employer, related to those decisions? Is there a safety issue? Is there a financial liability or legal liability issue specific to the decisions that you're expected to make? Do you have a role in purchasing, in budget? List that there as well. And then who do you come into contact with? If you interact with folks around the county and other departments, tell us about that. If you come into contact with whether it's outside of the agency, vendors, contractors, citizens, law enforcement agencies, other county governments, state governments, that kind of thing, give us an idea. So both inside and outside the organization, who do you come into contact with? If you fill this out longhand, meaning that you printed this out and you wrote it with pen or pencil, make a copy of your questionnaire. It will change hands a couple of times, so make sure that you preserve a copy for yourself. But sign and date, if you fill this out as a group, you can put everybody's signature on it or everybody's name on it. There is one more supplemental page for everybody to look at. If you are responsible for the work of others, whether those are other full-time or part-time employees, contractors, vendors, volunteers, anything like that, list out who and how many people you are responsible for, and then also indicate what your responsibilities are for those folks. Maybe you are part of the hiring or firing process. Maybe you are training employees. So if you are a supervisor or a manager or a lead worker, tell us about that on this page. The last page will be the only spot that anybody else might write on your questionnaire. Typically, the errors that occur on these questionnaires are things that we forgot, right? Errors of omission. If there are tasks or duties that you perform less frequently, and we forgot to get them down on page 2, another set of eyes helps us with that. So managers, department heads will have a chance to review, but not change what you put on the questionnaire, and then they'll get those turned into the county manager's office for us. A couple of reminders, again, you can work on this as a group. It's very important that you're comfortable with either your job description or have an opportunity to fill out a questionnaire. Overall, that will inform the job matching that we make and any proposed title changes that we might have. So try and get a questionnaire turned in or a marked up job description discussed with your supervisor there before the end of November. Thank you very much, certainly, for your time in viewing the video, as well as your time in looking at your job description. We look forward to the study. We look forward to sharing news and information about the outcome of the study. And with that, I will stop my screen share and we will hopefully see everybody in person real soon. Thanks.